We will discuss about moving charges and magnetism. What is the meaning of moving charges and how it is related to the magnetism? What is the introduction of this chapter? We will go from the beginning, from there we will go to the extension. So what is the introduction of this chapter? We know that static charges can produce the static electricity, but an accidental observation by a great scientist, Ørsted, his observations made the thinking of the people in a different. So what is the thinking of the people with respect to the observations did by the Mr. Great Ørsted? It is like this. Before his discovery, electricity and magnetism both are different fields in physics. Electricity and magnetism both are different fields. Up to 19th century. But Mr. Ørsted, his observation was done in 1820 AD. From this observation, from this academic year onwards, the thinking of the people was changed. What is the observation did by the Ørsted? That he accidentally placed a moving magnetic deflection or magnetic compass box. In those days, if you want to find out the distances or the directions, mostly the sailors should use this magnetic compass box to find the directions where they should go. What is the north side, what is the south side, what is the east side, and what is the west side. So if you to find out this magnetic compass box is the essential element in those days. So he accidentally put one magnetic compass box near to a current carrying conductor. Then he observed a momentary deflection in the magnetic compass box, deflection like this. So this is the deflected part. After increasing the electric field, strength of the electric field, the deflection range is also increased. And by changing the polarities of the charges, the deflection direction also changed. So by changing the polarities, direction of the magnet deflection in the magnetic compass box was changed. Direction of deflection was changed. One more, by increasing the electric field strength, the increase in the deflection was occurred. Increase in electric field strength increase in the range of deflection. So if you observe these two variations, before thinking is they both are different, by this observation, what Mr. Ørsted concluded, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is a time varying electric field can create the magnetic field. Or we can write the statement like this: a current carrying wire or a current carrying conductor expels a uniform magnetic field up to some range, or a current carrying conductor acts as a magnetic substance. So these are the observations for the Oersted's experiment. Later, the converse of this effect. What is the converse? Time varying magnetic field creating the induced EMF. Nothing but the Faraday's experiment and Lenz's experiment, the explanations did by them. So these two collectively combined and they created one more field in the physics, that is electromagnetic induction. Before going to that electromagnetic induction, this moving charges and magnetism is the basics of that part. So electric field converting to magnetic field, as well as magnetic field which is time variant converting to electric field. So we can write E of t is converting to E and B of t is converting to E. Time means time varying field. So this observation concluded that both the electric field and magnetic field and vice versa are related to each other. The strength of them is dependent on each other fields. So such like that a moving charge can produce the magnetic effects. This is the conclusion made by the great scientist Mr. Oersted by the observation of this momentary deflection in the magnetic compass box when it is placed near to the current carrying conducting wire. So this EM induction is the greatest revolutionary step in physics because it transformed the phase of the information sending, or sending the information from one point to another point. So in communication system, this EM induction played a vital role and it is a revolutionary step. So this induction created a lot of revolutions. So now we are enjoying the many communication systems with the advanced technology, and the time taken to send a message from one point to another point becoming so less. Within fraction of seconds we are able to send it because of this electromagnetic induction. So with this electromagnetic induction, we have seen the electromagnetic waves propagation, uses of this electromagnetic induction in different fields. So these are all the greatest revolutionary thinkings, and simply the change in the physics was developed within a quick time and short interval of the time. So for these things the basics are in this lesson. So in moving charges and magnetism, first we will see what is field, how this field is generated, what is the equation part, and what are the applications of these moving charges when they are in the helical path or circular path. Now we will see what is a magnetic force. So before going to see this one magnetic force, the first basic concept in all the forces is electrostatic force. This electrostatic force is the basic of all remaining forces. Means magnetic force is also dependent on electrostatic force. So in this case, we know what is the electric field strength, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square R cap. This R cap is the vector, the line joining vector from field source to the field. So E is equal to electric field strength. This is the equation for electric field intensity or strength. Or strength. So if this is the case, what is the electrostatic force equation? F is equal to QE. We know already E is here. We should multiply this E, equation E, with Q. So therefore F becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square along R cap. Where capital Q is the source charge, where small q is the point charge, which is at a distance of r. So in the electrostatics lesson and static electricity, we have discussed all these things. This 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught value is becoming 9 into 10 to the power of 9. Units are Newton meter square per Coulomb square. So that is the value of this 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught value. So if this is the case, this is the basic of all the forces and how this magnetic force is related. So later Mr. Maxwell concluded the electromagnetic waves. He both related and combined the electric fields and magnetic field with respect to their equations to use. Those equations are called electromagnetic equation. There one more concept was derived. That concept name is Lorentz force. So what is Lorentz force? How it is related to the magnetic and electrostatic force? What is the equation part of that? We are going to see now. It creates the magnetic field which is at a distance of r. So this B of r is created by E of r. What is E of r? Electric field at a distance r, which creates the magnetic field at a distance r. Means field is nothing but it is the expansion of the strength up to some limit where the another object, maybe it is electric charge or maybe it is a magnetic substance, could experience force of attraction or repulsion. So this is the real meaning of the field, whether it is electric field or magnetic field, the definition stands the same. So if this is the case, where B produced by the electric field, so what is the nature of this magnetic field like this? The vector sum of magnetic fields is equal to the magnetic fields of individual sources. Of individual sources. This point is very, very important. Here we can understood the Lorentz force concept. What is Lorentz force? The symbol is FL. Lorentz force relates the nature between the electric static force and magnetostatic force. So we can write Lorentz force is equal to Fe plus Fb. What is this Fe, electrostatic force? What is this Fb plus magnetic force? How these two are related and what is the equation part and what are the rules to find out the direction of the magnetic field, we are going to see now. So what is Lorentz force? For any field, either it is a magnetic field or electric field, charge is common. The total force acting on this charge with velocity v when it is placed in electric field and magnetic field is called Lorentz force. So the definition is like this. The total force acting on a charge with velocity v by or in the presence of electric E and magnetic, B fields is called Lorentz force. Means whenever a charge is there, it experiences the force of attraction or force of repulsion, nothing but the Coulombic force, and subsequently it can create a magnetic field. So the net force acting on a charge Q, when it is moving with velocity V in both electric and magnetic fields, is called Lorentz force. So we can write FL is equal to FE plus FB. What is FE equation? QE, because electrostatic force equation is QE. Next, what is FB? Q into V cross B. See here, the B is magnetic field, V is velocity of the charge. So if you took the common Q, E plus V cross B. This is the expression for Lorentz force. And we should check the vector notation of this Lorentz force and the dependence of the Lorentz force in the next part. So the expression F is equal to, or FL is equal to Q into E plus V cross B. We can write the brackets differently. So the Lorentz force depends upon E, V, B. This is the first point. Depends upon electric field vector, velocity and magnetic field. So where V is velocity, where B is magnetic field. V means velocity of the given charge. If velocity of the given charge and magnetic field are parallel or anti-parallel, then this part is going to be vanished. So what we can write, FB is equal to Q into V cross B. So we can write QVB sin theta if V and B are parallel or anti-parallel. Parallel means theta is equal to 0 degrees for parallel, like this. Anti-parallel means maybe in the same strength but in opposite direction, theta is becoming 180 degrees. In both the cases, this FB is going to vanish because theta is 0 or 180, sin 0 is 0, so 180 is 0. So what we can write, FB is going to vanish. So how we can relate this Q and V and B? It's a corkscrew law, Maxwell's corkscrew law. With that screw law, we can say the direction of electric field, direction of magnetic field, direction of the velocity vector of the line joints. And one more point we should understand in this explanation is the force on the negative charge is opposite with respect to the force on positive charge. Force on negative is opposite to the force on positive. We can write like this, opposite to each other. If electron is not moving, V is 0. If electron is at rest, V is equal to 0. If V is equal to 0, then also this magnetic field is all going to vanish. So here it leads to FB is equal to 0. This is very important point in this aspects and dependence of the Lorentz force. So how to demonstrate the relationship between this FVB? If you know the one removal of a screw, so we are applying the force on the top and we used to adjust the rotation like this. So in this case, the screw moves up by doing the circulations. So this is the direction of the applied force. This is the direction of the magnetic field. This is the direction of velocity. This V and B are separated by an angle. And we can visualize this concept with your fingers also like this. These three fingers should be stretched in a form of mutually perpendicular to each other. So anything like this, which is upward, which is field, and this is one more. These two are separated with an angle, or like this we can say like this. This is also very, very important. This is force, this is magnetic field, this is velocity. These two fingers are separated by an angle. So if the angle between them is 90, then we can expect the maximum force, because sine 90 is going to be 1, the maximum value of the sine. So this can visualize be like this. So this point is visualized by like this. So what is the dimensions of this one? So we know that magnetic force is equal to QVB. From this we can write B is equal to F by QV. What is V? Velocity, because we should write all the things into fundamentals. So the B is equal to F by Q means charge only. What is V? Velocity is equal to displacement by time, or length by time. So we can write LT. So if this is the case, we can write like this. What are the unit? Can you please tell me? Newton second by Coulomb meter. But 1 Newton second by Coulomb meter is equal to 1 Tesla. Continue. So what is this Tesla? SI unit of magnetic field or magnetic field strength. SI unit of B is equal to Tesla. So after the death of Mr. great scientist Nikola Tesla, the SI unit of B was put Tesla. But Tesla is rather a large unit. So in case of large terms, it is better to use the small quantities to find the magnetic fields. So we can write 1 Gauss is equal to 10 to the power of minus 4 Tesla. So what about the Earth's magnetic field? What is the Earth's magnetic field? For every substance, there is a magnetic field inside. So there are different substances, diamagnetic substances, paramagnetic, ferromagnetic. These will be under the next part of the lesson when we compare to the magnetism classified into matter. Earth is also one of the best magnetic material, have a large size. So what is the strength of the Earth's magnetic field? It is almost equal to 3.6 into 10 to the power of minus 5 Tesla. This is the Earth's magnetic field strength. So this point is very, very important. So such like this, we can visualize the concept of force, field and velocity with this dimensions. So what is the dimensional formula of B? Dimensional formula of B. The equation for magnetic force is QVB. From this we can write B is equal to FB by QV. where F is the force, Q is the charge, V is the velocity. Now we are applying the dimensional symbols or dimensional formula of each and every physical quantity that are related with the magnetic field. FB, force. What is the dimensional formula of the force? M L T power minus 2. Mass into acceleration. Q, charge. I is equal to Q by T. Q is equal to IT. What is I? A, T is T. Velocity, length by time. L T power minus 1 here. The T power minus 1 if it goes to this side into T. L get cancelled. So we can write M. This A goes up 1. A power minus 1. T and T also get cancelled. So therefore T power minus 2. If you wrote the dimensional formula in an order, we can get, this is the dimensional formula of so in intermediate syllabus, dimensional formula of all physical quantities from first year to second year, it is better to know, which is useful to the competitive exams. Now we will tabulate the strengths of the magnetic field at different physical situations. So it is better to draw a table for this information. So the physical situation, and this is magnetic field. So what are the different physical situations? The magnetic field is in Tesla. So what are the different physical situations? We'll go from top to bottom, means the highest part to the lowest values. So the first one is surface of a neutron star. So on the surface of a neutron star, the magnetic field strength is 10 to the power of 8 Tesla. Which is better. Tesla is the unit, T is the symbol of the unit. So second one, a typical large field in laboratory. A typical large field which is placed in, which was located in a laboratory. Its magnetic field strength will be 1 Tesla, exactly 1 unit. So if you see the third example, near a small magnet. So near a small magnet, we can expect the magnetic field of 10 to the power of minus 2 Tesla. So fourth example, on the Earth's surface. So on the Earth's surface, the magnetic field strength value will be 10 to the power of minus 5 Tesla. So it is in the order. Just before this table, what is the total magnetic field of the Earth? 3.6 into 10 to the power of minus 5 Tesla. This 10 power 5 or this 10 power 2 minus 2 or 10 power 0, 1 or 10 power 8 is the order of these magnetic fields. One more example in this order is human nerve fiber. Human nerve fiber. Yeah, we know that human eye is made up of different fibers, and we have different fibers in our stomach, and whole the body contains number of fibers of small size. These are also can respond to the magnetic field. So what is the human nerve fibers magnetic field effective 10 to the power of minus 10 in the order. The last example in this case is interstellar space. So the interstellar space, which is predictable or unpredictable, many scientists are doing the research in the space things. Okay, so the space physicists are there. So the interstellar space, we can expect the magnetic field of the order of 10 to the power of minus 12 Tesla. These are all the orders. So these are all the different physical situations from neutron stars to interstellar space. In between we can expect the earth also having the magnetic field strength. So this is the table which is useful to the information. So the next concept is magnetic force on a current carrying conductor. So let us take a conducting rod. Current carrying conductor means a wire also we can take, or we can visualize the wire like this. So it has the area A, area of cross section A, of length L, having many free charges. Here in case of magnetism or electric field, what we can understand is there are some charges, mobile charge carriers are there. Those are the responsibility to create the electric field and magnetic field. Let us say the electrons are the responsible for the creation of electric and magnetic fields through this current carrying conductor. So a presentation of electrons are there. Each electron's charge is Q. See the dimensions of the rod. This is the rod. A is the area of cross section of the rod. L is the whole length of the rod, which contains the free charge carriers electrons. Q is the charge of each electron. Whenever you applied the field, the electrons will move from one end of the conductor to the another end of the conductor with drift velocity. This is very, very important. So we know the number density of charge carriers. What is the meaning of number density of the charge carriers? The number of charge carriers present in unit volume. The number density of charge carriers. The symbol is N is equal to number of charge carriers by unit volume. So the number of charge carriers symbol is N, unit volume symbol is V. We can write number of charge carriers is equal to number density into volume. So this is very, very important. So number of charge carriers is equal to carrier density into unit volume. So in this case, we are going to find out the magnetic force acting on a current carrying conductor. So what is the magnetic force? We should apply all these dimensions in case of force. Continue. So magnetic force is equal to, we wrote Q into V cross B. So here Q means number of charge carriers N into volume AL. Next one, each one's charge Q into VD cross B. So this A into L is very, very important. What is this A into L? Volume. Number of charge carriers into carrier density into volume is equal to number of charge carriers. So we can write NQVD into AL cross B. What is this NQVD? Current density. This is current density. The symbol is J. Therefore, F is equal to J into AL cross B. So we know J is equal to I by A, J into A is equal to I. So in place of J into I, A, we can write I. So therefore F is equal to I into L cross B. So we can write ILB sine theta. So this is the expression for magnetic force on a current carrying conductor. Magnetic force value is going to change with respect to the shape of the conductor. If it is a circular or a small element in the circle, or it is a lengthy conductor, expressions are going to change. So F is equal to ILB sine theta, and we can find out this F for a small disintegrated values also by doing the summation over I dl cross B, where L is equal to having from J cross sections. So this point is very, very important, and this is the expression for magnetic force on a current carrying conductor. Here one problem which relates to the magnetic force on a current carrying conductor. Try to understand the problem and visualize the concept. There is a straight wire of mass 200 grams and length 1.5 meters, carries a current of 2 amperes. It is suspended in mid-air by a uniform horizontal magnetic field B. So what is the magnitude of the magnetic field? If you visualize the concept in the problem, there is a straight wire. Its mass is 200 grams. A straight wire. Mass is 200 grams. What is the length? 1.5 meters. A current of, it carries a current of 2 amperes. This is the wire. It is suspended in a mid-air by a uniform horizontal magnetic field. Suspended. It created, a field was created on either ends. Because of that, it is suspended. Whenever a body is suspended, gravitational force should be equal to the magnetic force. Otherwise, it won't be suspended freely. It won't stay in the air. The gravitational force on either ends is balanced by the gravitational force. The magnetic force on either ends is balanced by the magnetic force. So what is the magnetic force here? BIL is equal to mg. Now he is asking B. How to find out B? Therefore B is equal to, we can write mg by IL. So what is M? Mass 200 grams. 200 by 1000, 0.2 kg. G 9.8. Current 2 amperes. Length 1.5 meters. This 0.2 into 10 times. This 10, 9.8, approximately 1 time. 1 by 1.5. We can write 10 by 15. 2 by 3, 0.66 Tesla. But whenever a straight rod is suspended in air, it is under the gravitational force, means this straight wire is experiencing the Earth's magnetic field also. What is the Earth's magnetic field range? B of Earth is equal to approximately 3.6 into 10 to the power of minus 5 Tesla. But in this problem, we are neglecting that, not at all taking any consideration further. So this is the experienced magnetic field by this current carrying conductor. Now we see the permittivity and permeability of medium. And permeability. Of the medium. So what is permittivity and what is permeability? So in case of electrostatic force, we got E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. Epsilon naught means permittivity of free space. Of free space. But epsilon is equal to permittivity of medium. So what is this value? We can write if F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 Q2 by R square, Fr square by Q1 Q2 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and this is constant. If you want to write epsilon naught in terms of the 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, so we can write epsilon naught is equal to Q1 Q2 by Fr square. By substituting all the values, we can write permittivity of the medium. Okay, so it will be 8.85 coulomb square per Newton meter square. This is the permittivity of the free space. In case of magnetic field, we will get B is equal to some mu naught by 4 pi as constant. This mu naught by 4 pi, mu naught is permeability of the free space. Of free space. So mu is equal to permeability of medium. So its value is 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7 Tesla. So like this, we can explain this permeability and permittivity of the medium and free space, which is useful for the electromagnetic conduction and electromagnetic waves. Now the concept is motion in a magnetic field. We discussed that the moving charges is producing the electric field. Just apply the concept of atomic structure or any gravitational system. There is a central point called nucleus or sun, and around this planets or electrons are revolving in circular orbits. Let us consider the same concept to the magnetism. So if this is the case, so this is the central spot, nothing but the nucleus. One charge is there, Q. The distance between the nucleus to the charge is, let us say, R. Actually, this charge beyond revolution, it should go like this. That is the actual path. Still, it is in the circular circumference because of centripetal force. So, whenever the centripetal force is not acting on the charge velocity, magnetic field both are perpendicular to each other, then we can write this equation. But a centripetal force is continuously acting on the charge. That's why the charge, beyond taking the straight diversion, at one time it will be here, next time here, next time here, next time here, next time here. Means time variation from one point to another point. So this charge is experiencing two forces. Actually, if this charge is placed in the magnetic field and it is rotating in the circular path, whenever it is rotating in the circular path rather than choosing the straight one, it seems to be traveling in a helical path like this. A continuous revolutions in the circular path seems to appear in the helical path. This charge is experiencing two forces. One is centripetal force, another one is magnetic force. In the previous example, we chose that magnetic force is balanced by the gravitational force. Here, charge is in magnetic field and rotating in a circular path around the fixed point, nothing but the nucleus. Then we can expect that these two forces are balanced with each other. Then only we can say the charge is revolving in a helical path without coming out of the path. So it is not coming out of the path because forces are balanced. Once the force is unbalanced, then it will be out of the path. So there is a continuous supply of the force to keep the object or to keep the charge in circular path or in helical path. So what is the centripetal force equation? mv square by r. So what is the magnetic force equation? qvb. These two are balanced. We can write v and v square get cancelled. mv by r is equal to qb. Therefore, r is equal to qb by, therefore r is equal to mv by qb. R goes this side and mv by qb. What is this mv? Momentum of the electron while it is in the magnetic field. So the radius is equal to mv by qb. So whenever electron is revolving in a magnetic field, so how much radius it is traveling is equal to mv by qb. So where mv is momentum, more momentum, more radius. If radius should be more, the electron should achieve the more momentum. If radius should be more, then the momentum achieved by the electron is more. Momentum is more. So r is equal to mv by q. So whenever it is revolving in the circular path, it should possess with angular velocity. Therefore, we know that v is equal to r omega. Just try to compare these two equations. Here is r is equal to mv by qb, v is equal to r omega. So from this explanation, we can write v is equal to qbr by m. So v is equal to qbr by m and v is equal to r omega. Therefore, r omega is equal to qbr by m. R and R get cancelled. Therefore, omega is equal to qb by m. This is angular frequency. Angular frequency of the charged particle in a circular path of the magnetic field. Generally, angular frequency omega is equal to 2 pi nu is equal to qb by m. So, where nu is equal to 1 by t. So, 2 pi by t is equal to omega is equal to qb by m. Therefore, t is equal to 2 pi by omega. What is omega? Qb by m. So, therefore, 2 pi by qb by m, that is equal to 2 pi m by qb is time period. This is angular frequency. What is the general oscillation frequency, oscillating frequency? Nu is equal to 1 by t. T is equal to 2 pi m by qb. Nu is equal to 1 by t means qb by 2 pi m. These are all the very important features of the electron, which is revolving in a magnetic field or a motion of a charged particle in magnetic field. One more is left, that is said to be epoch. Next, pitch. What is pitch? So, when electron is revolving in a circular path in a magnetic field, what is the total distance it is travelled for one complete revolution is called pitch. The total distance travelled by a charged particle in one complete revolution is called pitch. So, it is the distance travelled. So, therefore, P is equal to, this V is the velocity component, parallel velocity component, or component of parallel vectors of the velocity, V double bar T. So, V is equal to L by T, T and T get cancelled, you will get L value. Therefore, V double dash into 2 pi m by qb is the time period. Therefore, 2 pi m V double dash by qb. This is called pitch. So, the problem is, the statement is like this. What is the radius of the path of an electron moving at a speed of 3 into 10 to the power of 7 meters per second in a magnetic field of 6 into 10 to the power of minus 4 Tesla perpendicular to it? What is its frequency? Calculate its energy in keV. Perpendicular to it means V cross B, VB sin theta, sin 90. If it is parallel, no need to find out because sin 0 is 0. So, the answer solution, before going to start the solution, we should write what are the physical quantities that are present in the formula. So, what is the radius of the, we should find out radius when of an electron which is moving at a speed of this much. That means velocity of electron is equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 7 meters per second. When it is placed in a magnetic field of 6 into 10 to the power of minus 4 Tesla, that means field is 6 into 10 to the power of minus 4 Tesla perpendicular to it. What is its frequency? Calculates its energy in keV, and what is the radius. So, we should find out these three. So, these three we can find out with respect to the relation. So, radius, what is the formula of the radius? mv by qb. What is this m? Mass. Mass of what? Electron. So, how much is the mass of electron? We can write the formula like this. Mass of electron into velocity of electron by charge of electron into magnetic field. So therefore radius is equal to mass of electron 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. Velocity of electron here 3 into 10 to the power of 7 meters per second. Charge of electron 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Field 6 into 10 to the power of minus 4 Tesla. So here it is 3 into 9.1, 27.3 into 10 to the power of minus 24. Here it is 1.6 into 6, 2.56 or 16.6 or 96. So 9.6 into 10 to the power of 23. So the answer is R is equal to 27.3 into 10 to the power of minus 24 by 9.6 into 10 to the power of minus 23. If this 23 goes off, plus 23, 23 minus 24, 10 to the power of minus 1, so by 10. Therefore, 27.3 by 9.6 into 10, it is 27.3 by 96. So the approximate answer, radius is equal to, we will get 26 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meters. Nothing but 26 centimeters. So R was find out. So next we should find out the frequency. Second part. Frequency is equal to nu is equal to V by 2 pi R. So how this formula is derived? Time period is equal to 2 pi R by V. Distance by velocity. Such like that nu is equal to 1 by t, that's why V by 2 pi R. So what is the velocity of this electron? We can find out some 3 into 10 to the power of 7 meters per second. 2 into what is pi? 3.14. And what is the radius? 26 into 10 to the power of minus 2. So this minus 2 goes up, plus 2. So therefore 3 into 10 to the power of 9 by 2 into 26, 52 into 3.14. If we did the calculation, the frequency we will get is 2 into 10 to the power of 6 second inverse, nothing but 2 into 10 to the power of 6 hertz, nothing but 2 megahertz frequency. So radius was over, frequency was over. We should find out the energy, that to be in kilo electron volts. So what is the energy? The third solution for this problem is energy. It is half mv square, and we can write half me ve square. So half, what is mass of electron? 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. What is ve? Velocity of electron. So the velocity of electron we got, so velocity of electron we got 3 into 10 to the power of 7 meters whole square. So E is equal to half 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 into 9 into 10 to the power of 14. So if this is the case, we should multiply to find out the answer. So we will get energy is equal to, so 9 into 9.1, 10 to the power of 14 minus 10 to the power of 31, 10 to the power of minus 71. So 9 into 9.1, it is approximately equal to 81.9 by 2, approximately 41 or 40.5. So therefore 40.5 into 10 to the power of minus 17 joules. So this will be equal to 4 into 10 to the power of minus 16 joules. But we should find out the answer in kilo electron volts. Therefore 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joules. 1 joule is equal to 1 by 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 electron volts. Here it is 4 into 10 to the power of minus 16 joules. Therefore 4 into 10 to the power of minus 16 joules is equal to, so for 4 into 10 to the power of minus 16 joules by 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 eV. So if you did the calculation, so it will 4 by 1.6 will get 40 by 16, 2.5, and it is 10 cube, so 2.5 into 10 cube eV. The answer is 2.5 keV, so kilo electron volts. So this is the way to find out the answers of the given problem. Next concept is velocity selector. Velocity selector is nothing but the motion of an electron in the combined electric and magnetic fields. Motion in combined electric and magnetic fields. So if this is the case, so how will you find out? Just we go back to the corkscrew law to find out the relationship between F, V, B. So F is like this, V is like this, and B is like this. This is F, sir. This is V. This is B. V is along the x-axis. Therefore, it is the x component of the velocity. What is the unit vector along the x-axis? I. Therefore, we can write this is Vi. Or V, not suffix I, Vi. F is along the y-axis, similar to the y-axis. So, we can write it is as Fj. B, Bk. So, these are the cases. These are the resolution of the force, velocity and magnetic field. So, what is the electric field? QE. Continue. So, we can write E is equal to Ej bar. V is equal to Vi bar. B is equal to Bk cap. So, these Ijk are the unit vectors along the different axes. So, Fe is equal to Qe. So, we can write Qe j cap. This is the velocity expression for the electrostatic force. What is the magnetic force expression? We know that Q into V cross B. So, therefore, Q into, what is V? Vi. Cross, what is B? Bk. What is I cross K? Minus J. Therefore, Q V B J cap minus. This is FB. So, Lorentz force is equal to Fe plus Fb. Therefore, what is Fe? Qej cap. What is Fb? Minus Qvb j cap. If you take the Q and J are common, E minus Vb of j cap, that is equal to velocity expression for the Lorentz force. So, at static equilibrium, QE is equal to QVB. So, QE is equal to QVB, QQ get cancelled, therefore, E by B is equal to V. Electric field by magnetic field means the electrons which are moving with the velocity of E by B ratio, they can escape from the electromagnetic fields. The electrons which are moving less than this E by B ratio of velocity, they can penetrate through the fields. So, this is the concept of a velocity selector and velocity vectors of the combined fields. Now, we will see one of the important structure to accelerate the charged particles from low potential to high potentials, or low voltages to high voltages, or low energies to higher energies. This device name is cyclotron. This cyclotron was first investigated and thought by M.S. Livingston and Lawrence. They both did some investigations on nuclear structure, and they used the cyclotron structure to investigate the nuclear structure of an atom. So these experiments was did by them in the year 1934. So what is the use of this cyclotron? What is the actual use of it? Suppose if a charged particle is given, that should be projected towards the higher potentials. According to the real situations and real-time monitoring, it is very difficult. But when you increase the angular frequency of that charged particle, it may be possible from low potential to high potential transform. To high potential. This should be the main use of a cyclotron. If you want to see the original structure of the cyclotron, yes, this is the metallic shielding. So inside two D structures we are observing, D1, D2. Between these Ds, this D1 and D2 are called as Ds. Ds. What is the use of these Ds? Yes, these Ds are connected by this spiral revolutionary path. So first the particle dropped here. This particle is rotated because of the magnetic field, not because of the electric field. So whenever a magnetic field is acting on this particle, it is used to rotate in the path. While it is rotated continuously, not only the three rotations, it has many. So for our understanding, we draw the three. So while it is rotating, as far as it is moving away from the center of the dropped point, which is similar to the nucleus, the velocity of the rotation increases and frequency, number of rotations per 1 second increases. That means nothing but the angular frequency. Whenever the angular frequency increases, that frequency is related with the charge and inversely proportional to the mass. So such like that, its time period is also going to decrease. If frequency increases, time period going to decrease. So whenever it is doing these oscillations around these circular path or helical paths, it is crossing over the two Ds. One D is connected to the deflection plate. The deflection plate is nothing but a conducting medium which expels the electric field. So in the influence of magnetic and electric, both the fields, this accelerated particle accelerates, frequency increases, velocity increases, time period decreases. So within a short interval of time, they used to come out of this structure. This is the exit point, they used to come out. While this charged particle, after doing the many revolution, while it is coming out, it has greater velocity which can bombard with any size of matter. So the particle initially at rest at low potential accelerates to high potential, through exit port it exits, and this exited one can bombard with any matter particle. This is the mechanism of the cyclotron. The frequency associated with the cyclotron is called cyclotron frequency. The time period of the charged particle within the cyclotron is called time period of the cyclotron, and energy which is related is energy of the revolutions. These three are the main important features of this cyclotron, as well as we used to know this. The exited charged particles will participate in nuclear collisions or nuclear reactions. So to participate in the nuclear reaction, a small amount of potential is not at all enough. So we need high potential. For that, this acceleration takes place. Now we will see what are the equation parts for the frequency and time period and energy which is related to the cyclotron machine. Now, what is the time period of the electron or charged particle inside the cyclotron? 2 pi m by qb. This derivation was already done in this chapter. So, time period means time taken for one complete revolution. So, what about the frequency? Exactly reciprocal of the time period. So, qb by 2 pi m. So, what is this qb by 2 pi m? Nu c. This nu c is called cyclotron's frequency. This is the very, very important point. Frequency means the number of oscillations did by a particle, a number of revolutions, number of rotations. But there is a condition called resonance condition. In this resonance condition, nu c will become nu naught or nu zero. What is nu c? Cyclotron's frequency. Nu zero or nu naught is called oscillation frequency. When cyclotron's frequency is equal to oscillation frequency, it leads to resonance. So what is the meaning of resonance? It is very difficult to predict the exact source of the sound. One object is already under the rotation or revolution. Another object is influenced by this one, which is already doing the oscillations or rotation. So they both will match the frequency. Under the matching condition of the frequency, the object both will have the same frequency. So in this case, they both do the same number of oscillations in a given unit time. So it is very difficult to find out the exact source to predict. So this condition leads to resonance. In case of resonance, another result we can observe is largest amplitude. Amplitude is nothing but the largest displacement. And here the amplitude is also largest. So this leads to the velocity increase or increase in the velocity, not the change in velocity. We can say it as increase in the velocity. So this concept leads to velocity change. So the velocity expression is qbr by m. So what is this energy? Whenever the object is doing the oscillations or revolutions within the influence of any field, its energy is mostly kinetic. So the energy is kinetic energy. The K will become half mv square. Therefore, half m. What is V here? qbr by m. So V square means q square b square r square by m square. M and m square get cancelled. So energy will become q square b square r square by 2m. So in cyclotron, this much of time period will be possible for the charged particles, this much of frequency is possible for the charged particles, this much of velocity is possible, and this much of energy is possible. With this much energy, the particles or the charged particles which are excited, they will take the bombardment, or they will take the reaction with they will participate reaction with the nuclear elements. That is called as nuclear reaction. In cyclotron, one point we should note that the energy of a charged particle when it is placed in magnetic field is independent of the oscillation frequency. This point we should know. So energy is dependent on charge, magnetic field, radius of the orbit, and inversely proportional to mass of the charged particle. The energy is not at all related to the oscillation frequency, QB by 2πm. So this point we should note in case of cyclotron. So this way cyclotron is useful, and they will possess this much of many physical greater qualities to participate in the nuclear reactions. Now this is a problem which is related to the cyclotrons. A cyclotron's oscillation frequency is 10 MHz. What would be the operating magnetic field for accelerating protons? If the radius of its disk is 60 centimeters, what is the kinetic energy of the proton beam produced by the accelerator? And we should find out the kinetic energy in mega electron volts, not in electron volts or joules. Before going to start the solution, so as far as our regular steps, we should find or write down what are the physical quantities present in the given problem. First, frequency 10 MHz. Next, radius 60 centimeters, which is nothing but 60 into 10 power minus 2 meters. What should be the operating magnetic field? We should find out B. And what is the kinetic energy? We should find out Ke. We can find out Ke is equal to half mv square. We should find out V, or we can write the Ke q square b square r square by 2m. Anyway, that is the answer we should get. So nu r is given, and B and Ke we should find out. So see the first step, what should be the operating magnetic field for accelerating protons? So we should relate the B with nu. So what is the formula for the B with nu? B is equal to 2 pi m nu by q, because we know that frequency is equal to qb by 2 pi m. So B is equal to 2 pi m nu by q. So therefore B is equal to 2 into pi means 3.14, m means mass of proton. It's not electron, so it's a proton beam. So mass of proton, how much? 1.67 into 10 to the power of minus 77. This formula it is better to write in terms of mp up by qp. So what is nu? Oscillating frequency. 10 megahertz means 10 into 10 power 6, 10 power 7 hertz, whole divided by qp, charge of proton, plus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. So if you did the solution, 2 into 3.14, approximately 6.28 by 1.6 into this 1.67, or we can write whole 6.28 into 1.67 by 1.6. This 10 power minus 19 goes up 10 power plus 19. Plus 19 and 10 power 7, 10 power 26. 26 minus 27, 10 power minus 1. So it is nothing but 6.28 into 1.67 by 1.6 into 10. So if you do the calculation, you will get approximately 0.66 Tesla. So this much of magnetic field will be produced when a frequency, when a proton which is oscillating with this much frequency. Next, one more we should find out, kinetic energy of the proton in the field. So next we should find out kinetic energy. The kinetic energy equation is q square b square r square by 2m. We can find out half mv square. We should find out the v again. So no problem. Anyway, we will get the answer. What is q? Charge 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 whole square. What is b? Magnetic field 0.66 Tesla whole square. What is R? Radius of the D is how much? 60 centimeters. That means we should write 60 into 10 to the power of minus 2 whole square, because 1 centimeter is equal to 10 to the power minus 2 meters. We should convert the whole units into the same system. 2m, 2 into mass is 1.67 into 10 to the power of minus 27 kg. So 1.6 whole square, 16 16s are 256, 1.6 into 1.6, 2.56 into 10 to the power of minus 38 into 0.66 whole square into 6 6 are 36, so 3600 into 10 to the power of minus 4 all divided by 2 into 1.67 into 10 to the power of minus 27. This is minus 38, this is minus 4, minus 42 goes up, plus 27, 27 minus 42 minus 15. So if this is the case, so if we solved all the things, we will get the answer approximately 7 MeV. We can check the answer also. So this much of kinetic energy will be produced for that oscillating frequency under the magnetic field of 10 power 7 H. Next we will see the Biot-Savart law. Biot-Savart law explains about magnetic field due to an element. Due to an element or element length. So how to explain this Biot-Savart's law? Let us take a lengthy wire whose length is L. If I took a small portion of its length, let us take this is dl. Suppose an electric field is passing through this lengthy wire. We know that electric field and magnetic field both are perpendicular to each other. So because of that, we can expect the magnetic field in this direction, like this, like. So at a point from this lengthy wire, we can expect a small elementary magnetic field. So the total magnetic field created by this lengthy wire is B, and the magnetic field due to this infinitesimal length is dB. And consider a point, and this point is located at R, and the field at this point is dB. Due to dl, not L. With respect to L, the field is B. With respect to dl, the field is dB. Infinitesimal length, elementary magnetic field. Total length, total magnetic field. So what the Biot-Savart's law explains? This is the conducting wire. L is equal to length. R is equal to distance between wire and point. dl is the infinitesimal length. Means we can say dl is a small portion among the lengthy wires, small portion. Where dB is the elementary magnetic field. Or small element of magnetic field. So what Biot-Savart's law explains? The strength of the magnetic field at any point from a lengthy wire. This is the strength of magnetic field due to an infinitesimal length. Is directly proportional to current passing through the wire. First of all, let us take the current passing through the wire I, and directly proportional to the infinitesimal length dl, inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. So the magnetic field, strength of the magnetic field at a point due to a conducting wire is directly proportional to the current passing through the conducting wire, directly proportional to the element of the length of the wire, inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the wire to the point. So we can write this one as dB is proportional to I dl by r square along the direction of r, we can say. So we can apply the vector notation or vector selector also. That means dB is proportional to I dl cross r by r cube. This is the velocity, this is the vector notation of the field. So if we remove the proportionality constant, the value will change differently. So dB is proportional to I dl cross r by r cube. This r is the vector, means the point is located along the plane which is perpendicular to the dl and r. So dB is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I dl sin theta by r square. So why sin theta, sir? Cross product. Cross product is nothing but the sine of the angle between them. So this is the very, very important expression for the Biot-Savart's law, where mu naught by 4 pi is proportionality constant. Mu naught is 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7 by 4 pi. 4 pi get cancelled and it will become 10 power minus 7 Tesla. This is the value of mu naught by 4 pi. So dB will become mu naught by 4 pi into I dl sin theta by r square. There are some similarities and connections between the electric and magnetic fields. What are the similarities? Between E and B. First one, both the fields are inversely proportional to the square of the distance. They are dependent on R where the powers are same. In electric field also 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r square. In magnetic field mu naught by 4 pi into I dl sin theta by r square. So r square is common in the both the fields.